Like, comment, and subscribe. And we're back with a new episode of the web novel Marry My Husband. The last video was so cute. We got Jiwon and Jihyuk cute moments while they plan their wedding. We ended with the lead up to the actual wedding. It was Jiwon getting ready for the wedding. It was the day of. Jihyuk defending his mom, Hugyeon and Jiwon and the babies when some dude being a complete asshole cut them off and they almost got hurt. Joran being very uncomfortable having to eat dinner or eat lunch every day of the week with the CEO because Jiwon couldn't eat seafood for a while she had morning sickness. And when Jiwon's morning sickness was cured, it actually jumped to Jihyuk. And it's actually a thing. I did ask my coworkers, I think I mentioned that in the last video. None of them said they had those issues. But yes, last video, all the episodes were so adorable. But we're going to start with the chapter 161, And. After finishing her hair and makeup, Jiwon changed into the mermaid-style dress that she'd always wanted to try on. Before, she would not have dreamed of wearing it in front of strangers because of her pregnant belly. But since this wedding was a gathering of her loved ones, who truly wished for their happiness, she was lucky enough to wear it. Still, Jiwon worried at herself in the mirror. Is my belly too big? Hugyeon looked adoringly at Jiwon's belly. You look more beautiful than the most delicious cake in France. It was the best compliment that could ever come out of Hugyeon's lips. Really? Of course. Who cares if your belly is big? It's only natural when you're pregnant. Nothing but the truth, as usual. Hugyeon's words blew away even the small amount of nervousness in Jiwon's mind. As the busy morning passed, buses shuttling the guests arrived one after another. Jiwon looked out through the large window, waiting for her cherished important guests to come one by one. Sena and Yeonhyu screeched with joy as soon as they got off the bus, and Jie was quick to scold them. Behind the group, Jiwon seen Yeonji jumping with excitement. Joran came running and told Yeonji to be on her best behavior. The burly men of JN, who were the drivers and bodyguards for the big day, radioed each other as they guided the guests inside. Jie came inside energetically. Hi! Oh my gosh, you look so beautiful. Sena pushed past her, making a big fuss in a loud voice. You look like a princess, and the hotel is super nice. Did you pick it out? This venue is beautiful too. I want to get married in a place like this. A small wedding? This kind of wedding isn't cheap. You know, even if the size of the venue is small, everything costs a lot more. Why are you raining on my parade? Sena scowled at Yeonhyu, who fiddled with Jiwon's dress, filled with envy. Yeonji came upstairs a little late after looking around the garden and toddled inside with her short legs. Auntie Jiwon! Her pronunciation had improved greatly since the last time she'd seen her. Jiwon gave her a big smile and stretched out her arms towards Yeonji. Yeonji! Auntie! Yeonji ran over and hugged Jiwon. She was so cute and still so adorable. Jiwon had to hold back the desire to rub her face on Yeonji's plump cheeks. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Who is she? Yeonhyu, who was unexpectedly wild about babies, squatted down and looked at the little toddler. Yeonji must have liked Yeonhyu too, because she smiled all the way to her eyes, making several people swoon. She's a really close co-worker's daughter. There she comes. Joran soon appeared, already looking exhausted. Still, when she saw Jiwon in a white dress, her tired face brightened up. "How do you look so pretty? You're almost too beautiful to get married." "I don't know, an expert's touch, maybe?" After joking around and greeting her guests, Jiwon took pictures. Photos were important after all. These photos would preserve happy memories, even if they were weathered over time. "Excuse me, ladies." While everyone was having a good time, Chairman Yu visited. Jiwon exclaimed at the sight of him. He was dressed up in a sophisticated gray suit that matched his abundant white hair, along with a handkerchief and bow tie. "You look so cool, grandfather. You look like a model." "Do I?" Hugh Yeon insisted that I wear this tie. She has a great sense of fashion, as usual. Jiwon reached out her hand and patted Hugh Yeon's bum. Hugh Yeon felt proud and raised her nose even higher. "It's about time we headed down. Ji Hyuk's waiting for you," she said. "Is it already time?" Chairman Yu held out the object he was hiding to Jiwon as she tried to get up in a hurry. It was a modest bouquet that was obviously not made by a florist. However, if after looking at each flower, it was clear that only the freshest and best flowers had been carefully selected for it, the ones without any scratches on the petals. "It's made from flowers I grew myself. I'll send someone over to buy a different bouquet if you don't like it." Jiwon could not express how touched she was. It could not have been more touching, even if Chairman Yu brought over 100-carat diamond. There was no way to express the emotional and overwhelming feeling to him. So Jiwon accepted the bouquet and hugged Chairman Yu. "Thank you, grandfather. Thank you so much. It's so, so lovely. This is the most beautiful bouquet in the world." A calm smile spread on Chairman Yu's stern and serious face. The camera shutter clicked as the grandfather and granddaughter hugged each other. Chairman Yu touched Jiwon's back with his hand, which was stained with flower water from arranging flowers all night. "Aw, congratulations on your marriage, Jiwon. I hope you will live happily forever with Ji Hyuk and your sons." Aw, the fact he made it himself for her is so sweet. Chol Hong clicked his tongue. "What's with that expression, boss? Isn't this a joyous day?" The others didn't say anything, but they were thinking the same thing. "What's wrong with my expression?" "You look like a general headed to war, boss," Sinu said. Chol Hong added to Sinu's opinion. "You look like that character from that movie, you know, the one where 300 Spartans go to war." Ji Hyuk's eyes twitched. He was about to refute when he turned his head and saw himself. Reflected in the full-length mirror, he quickly closed his mouth. He certainly looked determined enough to command 12 ships and head out to destroy his enemies. He forced the corners of his mouth, which had hardened like wire from his nerves, to turn upward. Now he wore an even scarier expression. "Do something," Ji Hyuk said. "That's impossible. You're asking for a lot here. I can't exactly change how you look, boss. Are you worried about the marriage saying? How marriage is the beginning of life?" "I think he means that one that says marriage is the end of your life." "Sounds good to me." "Marriage is the end of life, you say?" If this was the end of Ji Hyuk's life, he wanted to build a glorious grave, like a pyramid or a royal tomb in the middle of Gangnam, and live inside it with Jiwon for the rest of his life. Ji Hyuk's expression melted like a snowman hit by air from a hairdryer as he imagined living in a magnificent tomb with Jiwon. Sinu shuddered secretly at the sight. "Young master, it's time to go," Hyungwoo called from outside. Ji Hyuk was so nervous that the same arm and leg moved simultaneously. Oh man. All he had sorry, I'm just imagining him walk like that. Okay. All he had since last night was water, but it felt as though he had morning sickness. "Let's go." "Yes, boss." Some of the burly men followed Ji-hyuk as he went outside with a grim face, like a general riding out to war. Looking like that, Hyung-woo thought Ji-hyuk was a mob boss going to take out a rival gang leader instead of a groom attending his own wedding. However, this opinion, he did not express this in words. The rain that had poured all night long stopped when the sun rose. In the high and clear sky, feathery clouds remained as thin, pretty cotton candy blown by the wind. Fairly strong sunlight poured in between them and scattered across the greenery that was still moist from the rain. When the wind blew, the leaves shook like waves. Even the impatient cicadas took a break from their singing as they struggled to find a mate. The wedding hall on the dewy lawn was decorated with so many flowers that it looked like a huge bouquet from a distance. Jiwon approached Ji-hyuk in full bloom, like the most beautiful of flower among them. Even the tiara gifted by Miss Cha was dull in radiance compared to Jiwon. The long hem of the dress, draped on the green grass, looked as beautiful and enchanting as angel wings. She walked one step at a time with feet that were too precious to touch the floor. She covered her face with a modest bouquet and smiled shyly. Ji-hyuk literally lost his mind. Everyone burst out laughing because of his silly expression, which for many people was the first time they'd seen such a thing. In particular, Hugh Yeon collapsed to the floor laughing, even shedding some tears. What's with that face? What an absurd expression. Aw, the groom must be really touched. Ji-ae felt moved as she clasped her hands in front of her. Boss, please close your mouth. You have a really ridiculous expression on your face right now, Sinu advised. He's right. You're going to catch a cicada if you don't close your mouth, Ji-hyuk, Miss Cha said, agreeing wholeheartedly. It didn't matter what the people around him were saying. Ji-hyuk couldn't hear any of it. Only Ji-won existed in Ji-hyuk's world right now, and she was the only one talking. Were you waiting long, Ji-hyuk? Yes, I waited for a long time. I truly waited for a long, long time for you. We've come full circle around our never-ending loneliness. We've overcome your death and mine. But if all that waiting and wandering was leading us to this moment together, it doesn't feel very long at all. I can wait for even longer if you wish. This mushy sweetie. Okay. Ji-hyuk offered his right hand to Ji-won, and she took it. They walked along the flower path on the green lawn that was only for the two of them and stepped in front of the people who truly loved them. Youngji clapped her small hands excitedly, and Chairman Yu fumbled through the officiating speech with tears in his eyes. Almost everyone, including Ji-hyuk and Ji-won, could not understand his words properly, but no one paid any attention to that. After all, the most important thing was the last statement. I now pronounce you husband and wife. Finished with his gibberish, Chairman Yu took out a handkerchief and wiped away his tears. Ji-won and Ji-hyuk turned around and bowed to their guests. Hugh Yeon hastily instigated something amidst all the applause. Kiss! Kiss! Miss Cha, Chairman Yu, and everyone else started shouting in time with Hugh Yeon. In particular, the cries from the burly men from JN were reminiscent of the Marines. Kiss! 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 The kiss they shared was soft, shy, and sweet. At the same time, thousands of pink petals scattered in the air and flew on their heads like a rain of flowers. It all worked out fine. You bet it will. Ji-won smiled brightly at the picture of her father in the front row. You'll become healthy and be running around before you know it. You'll earn tons of money, and you'll get someone wrapped around your finger. Someone who'll do anything for you. Someone who'll even die for you. This is my last ride for the day, so I won't take it. You're my last customer, so a promise that you'll live well is payment enough. Dad, I kept my promise. The sunlight, which the clouds had briefly hidden, hit the picture frame and shone white. For a moment, her father's photo seemed to smile. In the green garden, loved ones surrounded the newly united happy couple. The early summer wind brushed against their cheeks, and the sunlight reflected on the white walls of the house, as leaves scattered beautifully in the air like a crystal chandelier. All right, here we go. Smile. Hey now, the grandfather needs to stop crying. Okay, let's try again. For real this time. 1, 2, 3. Smile. The photographer's camera captured the whole scene with a click. Jiwon and Ji-hyuk later hung the photo on their living room wall and named it The Beginning of True Happiness. And that's the end of chapter 161. Let's see. Some of the top comments. I loved this story. So good to see the good ones get the lives they deserve. Hell yeah. Let's see. So lovely. The chairman was so sweet. After the evil was defeated, it really was just a straight shot to happiness, huh? Hell yeah. I'm excited to read this epilogue. I can't believe it's over. It's not over yet. We're on chapter 161. There's like 180 something chapters. Oh, I can't wait to see how beautifully Jiwon's gown is next to Ji-hyuk's dumb face on the webtoon. The free chapter available on the Line webtoon app has only reached up to the part of Ji-hyuk's fever. Still such a long way to go. Oh, I remember that part. Amazing story. I'm sad it's over, but wow, well written. Okay, so the next chapter is 162, the honeymoon. And if you like this chapter, let me know what part was your favorite. Mine was Ji-hyuk's. I had two. Ji-hyuk's face when Jiwon was walking towards him, and Chairman Yu when he gave Jiwon the bouquet that he made himself. Those are my two favorite parts. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be back with chapter 162. Bye. And we're back with chapter 162, their honeymoon. It has been less than 3 to 4 hours since falling asleep that Jiwon woke up, groaning from the big blow to her stomach after tossing and turning all night from discomfort. Does it hurt? Ji-hyuk got up as well, quickly touching Jiwon's stomach. The baby must have liked his touch, because the other one, who had been quiet, started moving excitedly too. Ouch! Ugh! Jiwon grabbed her stomach with a teary face. When she thought about it, she really should have expected this. How could it have not hurt when an independent being shook its arms and legs, which had nothing to do with her own personal will, and hit the organs inside her belly? But for some reason, Jiwon forgot about that obvious fact. It was because when a baby moved in media, it was always portrayed as a mysterious and touching phenomenon. She had never seen anyone wake up on a TV show because they were punched in the stomach. Owl number 1 and number 2, behave yourselves. Ji-hyuk spoke sternly towards Jiwon's stomach. Jiwon wondered if this man, who had not been able to get any sleep along with her, because the babies were kicking, had finally gone wild. Can the babies even understand you? There was no way they could understand. Plus, it seemed like the twins were fighting inside her womb. Struggling and sweating, Jiwon barely managed to raise her head when the babies calmed down a little. It hurts, she said, but I also want to go to the bathroom. Instead of answering, Ji-hyuk gathered Jiwon and carried her in his arms. Thanks to him, Jiwon was able to move to the bathroom door without even raising a hand. That's better. Jiwon flushed the toilet and washed her hands when she suddenly looked up at herself in the mirror. She gained quite a lot of weight at this point. Her chin used to be narrow. When did it get so round? Her belly protruded so much it was almost a pitiful sight, and there were stretch marks in some places on her skin. And she felt like her skin looked gray and ashy too. In other words, Pregnancy made her uglier. Jiwon came out of the bathroom feeling depressed. Meanwhile, Ji-hyuk had prepared an herbal tea for her and held out a warm mug to Jiwon. Drink this and go back to sleep. You didn't get any sleep during the evening. Thank you. Now that she filled her belly with warm herbal tea, she felt hungry. There was nothing more that she wanted than warm pork feet wrapped in lettuce with salted shrimp, hot chilies, garlic, dipping sauce, and spicy noodles added on top. It felt like the world would end if she couldn't have it. But I've gained too much weight. Jiwon touched her chin, which was puffy like a sticky rice cake, then simply drank the herbal tea and laid back on the bed. When she went straight onto her back, it felt like her organs were being crushed. When she lay down on her right side, her stomach sagged that way. When she went to the left, her stomach sagged that way as well. And when she found the perfect position by adjusting the long body pillow around her, her back felt itchy. Plus, she didn't know why, but amidst all that readjusting on the bed, she was still craving the pork feet. The more she tried not to think about it, the more she desperately wanted the chewy, greasy texture and crunchy garlic taste. Now the taste was lingering in her mouth. The doctor said she had to be careful about gaining too much weight. I've never had to worry about this my entire life. Why can't I stop thinking about pork feet? I'm so pathetic. But I still want the pork feet. Oh, I'm so pathetic. I feel like such a pig. But I still want pork feet. I don't even need the spicy noodles. Ji-hyuk has to go to work tomorrow too. He'll be tired. But I really, really want those pork feet. Pork feet. Pork feet. Pork feet. Pork feet. Jiwon felt so pathetic, but tears sprang to her eyes because she wanted the pork feet so badly. She couldn't stop her tears, just like she couldn't stop her appetite. Jiwon gritted her teeth and cried quietly. Ji-hyuk realized something was wrong and sat up to turn the nightstand on. Honey? She finally burst into tears when she heard Ji-hyuk call out to her in a sweet voice. She sniffed loudly, gasping as she sobbed. Why are you crying? Does your stomach hurt? Ji-hyuk seemed to have already sent her to the emergency room in his mind. Jiwon grabbed his arm as he rushed to search for his clothes and shook her head. No, it's not that. Then what's wrong? Did I make another mistake? He was restless as he recalled that Jiwon cried a few days ago because he'd bought soy sauce chicken accidentally. He bought soy chicken accidentally when she said she wanted to eat seasoned chicken. No, you didn't do anything wrong, honey. But I really want to eat pork feet. Pork feet? Ji-hyuk was already at the front door the next moment. Just wait right here. I'll be right back. It took exactly 34 minutes for Ji-hyuk to buy the pork feet and come home. Jiwon forgot all about her weight when he presented her with the pork feet, lettuce, hot chilies, garlic, and spicy noodles that she wanted to eat so badly. She ate the wrap Ji-hyuk made for her like a baby bird that had been starved for a few days. Is it good? Jiwon nodded enthusiastically. Her mouth was full of food, so she couldn't answer, so she kept nodding wildly like she wanted her head to fall off. You should have told me sooner. A smile of relief spread across Ji-hyuk's previously concerned face. Jiwon was so cute as she chewed on the food with puffy cheeks. He just wanted to swallow her up. You see? Jiwon managed to chew the big lettuce wrap and swallow it down. I've gained too much weight lately. You have? Ji-hyuk frowned as he had never noticed it before and looked closely at Jiwon. The combination of swelling and fat made her hands and feet chubby, like sausages, and her arms strong. The slimness from her face had disappeared, leaving her face perfectly round. I guess you have. What? Jiwon's eyes raised sharply all the way to her temple. He was supposed to say she didn't gain weight. Oh my God. that she was the same as before their marriage, even if it was a lie. What kind of blasphemy was this? You did gain weight, and you look beautiful. If it weren't for the last statement, Ji-hyuk would have been kicked out for real this time. Ji-hyuk cluelessly smiled without realizing what he'd done. Is he kidding me right now? The smile dropped an atomic bomb on Ji-won's already sensitive heart. I'm done. Ji-won practically threw her chopsticks down. Already? Surprised, Ji-hyuk quickly made another lettuce wrap. Have some more. You were crying because you wanted it so badly. I should restrain myself since I've gained so much weight. Even the doctor said I had to be careful not to gain too much. I don't think it's that bad right now. Ji-hyuk touched Ji-won's chubby jawline with the lettuce wrap in the other hand. You still look gorgeous, and now you look even cuter. I have stretch marks on my belly and thighs. When Ji-won slightly rolled up her t-shirt to show him her stretch marks, Ji-hyuk was overcome by her cuteness and kissed her bulging belly. They look like those trendy tattoos. I can't even put on socks anymore. I'll put them on for you and take them off as well. My fingers are swollen. I can't even wear my wedding ring. It's a shame for the ring. Ji-hyuk sat next to Ji-won. He gave her water and put the lettuce wrap in her mouth. In the meantime, Pang crept up to put his soft paw on the pork feet, only to get caught by Ji-won. Unable to snag some of the pork feet, he became sad. It's so good. Ji-won's cheeks swelled again as she chewed. In Ji-hyuk's eyes, she looked like a squirrel that gathered acorns in its mouth. Is it that good? She nodded. Then Ji-won made a wrap with her cute hands and held it out. Ji-hyuk was conflicted about whether he should eat this precious food, but he took it when she urged him to. It was tasty, but it felt wasted on him. It's delicious, right? Have some. Ji-hyuk woke up every time Ji-won tossed and turned and went back to sleep right after she fell asleep again. The fatigue that accumulated each day was all blown away by Ji-won's words of satisfaction. All he wanted was for her to be happy. If there's anything you need or anything you're craving, you can tell me anytime. Wake me up if I'm sleeping. This is the reason why I married you. The doctor said I need to be careful. If you're worried about gaining too much weight, then let's exercise every day. We'll walk 30 minutes each day and hire a yoga instructor. Should we go for a stroll right now while we're at it? Ji-won nodded again. Ji-hyuk and Ji-won ate all the pork feet and spicy noodles while exchanging wraps together. Ji-hyuk cleaned up the dishes and put socks on for Ji-won, and the couple soon came outside hand in hand to walk around the empty night street. I want to sit over there for a minute, Ji-won said, pointing at a bench. Ji-hyuk went to the bench and took off his jacket and laid it down for her. The two sat there, inhaling the cool night air, to their heart's content. They kissed quickly when they made eye contact with each other. Ji-won didn't feel bad about her round jawline or chubby stomach anymore. My hubby says I look beautiful and cute. He even said the stretch marks look like tattoos. As Ji-won leaned on Ji-hyuk's shoulders, she could hear his heart pounding as fast as it did before their marriage. Honey, yes, thank you. Ji-hyuk smiled and wrapped his arms around Ji-won's shoulders. I'm more thankful to you, by 10-fold. 100-fold for me. 1,000-fold for me. 1,000,000-fold. Times infinity for me. Oh, that's cheating! Nothing can be done about it. I love you so much more. If Sinu or Jie heard their conversation, they would have writhed in agony like an octopus. Still, the two were happy as long as they were happy. It didn't matter. Each day was precious. It was a waste to think about anything else. 36 weeks and 5 days. All the blood had drained from Ji-hyuk's face on that fateful day. Sinu had to take the wheel of the car instead because Ji-hyuk was too out of his mind to drive. Ji-won was confused. Was she going into surgery or was Ji-hyuk? Sweetie, your hands are trembling. Oh. Ji-hyuk swallowed dryly, rubbing his hands several times, and Ji-won's hands again and held Jiwon's hands again. I think it's even worse. No, I'm okay. Don't worry too much. The doctor said it'll be over soon. These days, the technology is so good that they slice it open a little and stitch it back up right away once they're out. Jiwon said next. Jiwon said that to calm Ji-hyuk down. However, she regretted it when Ji-hyuk started sweating. Should I tell them I don't want the surgery? No. The doctor had suggested trying for a natural birth. However, Ji-hyuk had asked which was the safer option and chose surgery without a second's hesitation. He still felt the same way about it. I heard there could be complications, especially since they're twins. But you're so afraid right now. I'm not afraid. That's a lie. He's so scared his eyes are out of focus. Jiwon shook her head. It may not look like it to most, but this was her second lifetime. She had gone through ups and downs, including chemotherapy in her first life. She wasn't that scared of the surgery, but all kinds of emergencies seemed to be unfolding in Ji-hyuk's mind. It'll be fine. We've got the best doctor in Korea at the best hospital, and I have you by my side. So what could go wrong? Still, Ji-hyuk nodded stiffly. Today was the first day they would meet the twins. Miss Cha had rushed back from China the day before yesterday, and Hugh Yeon used 2 of the precious vacation days she saved up. Even Chairman Yu, who had lived without religion all his life, had fallen sick after touring famous temples across the country for prayers. See you soon, honey. Jiwon said her farewell and went into the operating room. Sinu handed something like a shining quail egg to Ji-hyuk, who slumped down into a chair with pale lips. It's calming medicine, boss. Ji-hyuk popped it blankly into his mouth and chewed it. His taste buds must have been paralyzed with extreme fear, too, because he couldn't even taste the bitterness. Ji-hyuk. It's so funny because any other time he's like Johnny on the spot, like raring to go. But when it comes to like stuff like that, he's paralyzed. Okay, so some of the top comments, because that's the end of the chapter. Jiwon became sweeter after marriage and pregnancy. Yeah, she's more comfortable now with expressing her feelings. And she's not as guarded, which is really sweet to see her growth and her bringing down her barriers. Very excited to meet the twins. I hope everything goes smoothly. I feel like it will. I think Ji-hyuk is just scared because obviously he's seen her die in her previous life. And he's just having flashbacks. Jiwon's really to have a husband like Ji-hyuk. I think I know what they meant. Jiwon's lucky to have a husband like Ji-hyuk. I kind of think that's what they mean. Can anybody tell me where I can find a husband like Ji-hyuk, please? Oh, the way he finds his wife beautiful in every sense is just mwah. That is sweet. I want a hubby like Ji-hyuk. So sweet. Not Chairman Yu getting sick from visiting temples, even though he isn't religious. That's so sweet. I'm 7 months pregnant, so I feel the cravings versus weight gain issue, but this is the absolute sweetest chapter. Jiwon and Ji-hyuk are the best couple. Yes, preemie babies is surprisingly common, especially with twins. Preemie twins. Since this was around 2010 or so, the twins would be 13 years old this year. Wow, and this was in 2013, this comment. So that's the end of chapter 162. The next chapter is 163, His Memories. And we're back with chapter 163, His Memories. Memories. 1. It was the longest hour and 15 minutes of Ji Hyuk's life. It was the same for Chairman Yu, Miss Cha, and Hugh Yeon, who had come along too. The four of them sat in a row in the hospital hallway with almost the same expression as they stared into the air. Even the shape of their gathered hands were the same. They looked as if they were praying. Finally, the nurse called for Ji Hyuk. Miss Ji-won Kang's guardian? The small creatures that Ji-won had in her belly until moments ago were now in the arms of the two nurses. This boy here came out first, and he was born second. Both your sons and your wife are all healthy. Congratulations. Owl 1 and 2 were much smaller, red, and swollen than Ji Hyuk imagined. They did not look like Ji-won at all. Unlike Ji Hyuk, who stood still and stared at the babies, Hugh Yeon was busy filming the owls with her high-performance digital camera she'd prepared in advance. Miss Cha and Chairman Yu were ecstatic as well. Mom, Grandfather, look at them. They are so adorable. Are they asleep? Are they? I'm your auntie, little ones. I'll buy you guys cute outfits once I get paid. Stop crying, sir, and come look at the babies, the chairman sobbed. So, this is what I've been living for? He said, sniffling. The first meeting with the owls ended in a flash. Ji Hyuk vaguely thought that it would feel very overwhelming, but he felt more dazed than anything else. It was also because he was so worried about Ji-won that he couldn't even think about anything else. After a while, the doors to the operating room opened. Honey? Ji Hyuk ran over and grabbed onto Ji-won's bed. Ji-won stared at Ji Hyuk with unfocused eyes and waved her hand. Cold. It's so cold. Ji-won was freezing. She felt sick, and the world was spinning, and if she had drunk a bottle of soju, and the world was spinning as if she had drank a bottle of soju alone. A coldness came from the depths of her body, and it made her think she might freeze to death soon. I'm cold. Trembling with her eyes closed, Ji-won reached for a blanket when she caught something warm. She felt a little warm and relieved. Ji-won held the hand tightly on the bed and was taken to the hospital room. Soon she fell asleep, drunk on the anesthesia. Why is she so cold? Is something wrong? Ji Hyuk asked the nurse while shaking worse than Ji-won, who had just completed the surgery. She's cold because she was waking from the anesthesia. She'll be fine when she's completely awake, so don't worry. The nurse was very friendly and kind. Still, Ji Hyuk did not feel relieved. Ji-won's face was as pale as a dead body. He couldn't feel the warmth in her limp hands. Ji Hyuk wished he could take all the body temperature left in his body and give it to her to warm her up. He had seen her like this once, limp and cold. Scent sometimes reawakened past memories. For Ji Hyuk, the scent of spring flowers did that. In the morning, when the cherry blossoms had bloomed fully overnight, he would often stand under one of the trees in a daze. When he closed his eyes and leaned his head back against the tree trunk, he went back to that time in an instant. A slight chill in the breeze, warm sunshine, the sound of a cat purring, and the sound of a young female student talking. Then he would open his eyes again. There was only a vague longing that remained, like dry grass. He'd met Ji-won again on a spring day like that. For the first time, he was excited to go to work every day. He wore his glasses in front of the mirror, then took them off again. He even switched the direction of his hair, this way and that. He frequently wasted time choosing between ties. He didn't know how to dress well, nor did he have any experience with fashion, so the results were always dismal. No matter how many times he changed his clothes or picked a different tie, his clothes all looked the same. Even Hugh Yeon couldn't notice the difference. Still, he was happy. He struggled all day with how to speak to her, but when he finally opened his mouth, his heart started pounding. "Miss Kang?" "Yes, Mr. Yu." All sorts of worries popped into his head as Ji-won walked over to his seat. What if his voice trembled? Did he sound strange as he called her over? Was there anything on his face? "Do you need anything?" she asked. Ji-won never looked Ji-hyuk in the eye. It was the same thing he'd done when he was a college student. He didn't mind it. Rather, it was better for him because he could look at Ji-won's round, cute forehead to his heart's content. Mr. Yu." He seemed to have fallen into a trance without realizing it. Ji-hyuk quickly presented the report he'd prepared as an excuse to Ji-won. "I need some supplemental materials on this file. We're not in a hurry, so please finish it by next week." "Yes, Mr. Yu." This was how their once-a-day conversation ended usually. All Ji-won said was, "Yes, Mr. Yu. Thank you. Understood," or "I'll have it ready by next week." But to Ji-hyuk, that short conversation made his entire day. After Ji-won took the document from with her head slightly bowed, he couldn't do anything for a while because he had to calm his pounding heart. Just looking at the top of her head from behind the partition made him smile. He's so lovesick. When he got an email from Ji-won, his face heated up like a teenage boy who had just received a love letter. Even extremely business-like content such as design proposals and budget status felt special when they had been typed by Ji-won one by one. So all the emails he received from Ji-won were stored separately in a different folder. Even after Ji-won started dating Min-won, his feelings for her did not disappear. The more he consciously tried to get rid of them, the deeper they got. Just in case it was obvious how he felt, Ji-hyuk stopped calling Ji-won over for work-related stuff. As the days passed by, different contract employees joined their team. At first, it was supposed to be Hugh Yeon. It was an order from Chairman Yu to see if she was a good employee or not, and at the time, there was no need for more manpower since Assistant Manager Joran's maternity leave was about to end. However, Chairman Yu claimed they should rely on each other when there was another rookie on the team. So they decided to add one more person from the staff's recommendations. Ji-hyuk never expected Ji-won to write a recommendation letter. Mr. Yu?" Their usual work-related conversations were only done through email. It was the first day that Ji-won, who normally could only talk to Ji-hyuk when he called her over, approached him first. Can I hand in a recommendation letter for the contract employee position?" It was clear that she had a recommendation letter hidden behind her. As long as the recommended person has no specific reason for disqualification, of course it's possible. Ji-won's voice brightened a little. "Thank you." Ji-hyuk decided to choose the person Ji-won recommended, even if he had to return all his salary. Hugh Yeon and Sumin ended up joining the company together at the same time for this reason. After Sumin joined, Ji-won beamed at her. It was a much happier smile than the one she gave Min-won. Just by peeping at the smile from afar, Ji-hyuk's heart filled with warmth. Who cares if she's not smiling like that at me? As long as she's happy, I'm happy. That was all Ji-hyuk truly wished for. He didn't dare be greedy because he knew very well that he was so tactless, no amount of money in the world could make up for it, as Miss Cha said. It was enough just to see her smile like that from a distance. One day, Jiwon came to work wearing some earrings. They went well with her black hair tied back and her small pretty ears. In other words, now there was more things to look at besides Jiwon's forehead and her long eyelashes behind her glasses. Until Ji-hyuk overheard a conversation in the lounge, they were the prettiest and most valuable objects in the world, all because they were dangling from Jiwon's ears. "Oh, aren't those the same earrings as Jiwon's?" The voice he heard over the lounge partition was definitely Minwon's. Ji-hyuk stopped at the doorway just before entering. "Yeah, they're friendship earrings," the woman said, giggling. Ji-hyuk smiled unknowingly at Sumin's shy answer. What kind of expression had Jiwon had while choosing those with her friend? She must have enjoyed trying on different earrings with her. She might have been flustered with excitement. How cute could that be? "Girls do things like that, huh? They're pretty. They look good on you." Minwon was always kind and friendly. He was especially like that to female employees, and to Sumin as well. "They look better on Jiwon. She actually picked them out, so they don't look good on me. But still, they're cute. What's important is that they look good on Jiwon." "I think they look much better on you, Sumin." The smile vanished from Ji-hyuk's face. The two continued their conversation. "You're lying. They look like toy earrings when I wear them. Jiwon is so mature. I'm like a little girl." Those types of earrings look better on girlish faces. And this is a secret, but behind the partition, Minwon's shadow leaned toward Sumin. "You're actually prettier than Jiwon, and cuter too." Something was wrong. Very, very wrong. Ji-hyuk strolled in behind the partition. The two people were strangely close together and jumped when they saw Ji-hyuk. They quickly backed away from each other. "Would you like some coffee, Mr. Yu? I could make a delicious cup for you," Sumin said without batting an eyelash. She did not look like a good person anymore. Up until now, she had been a thankful person who made Jiwon laugh. "No thanks. I think you should go back to work instead." "Okay." Minwon tried to follow Sumin as she turned and left with a pout on her face from the rejection. Ji-hyuk glanced over and stopped Minwon. "Mr. Park." "Yes?" "You're chatting too much during work hours. Do you have time to chat while others help you with your work?" "I'm not sure what you mean." "I know that you hand in the projects that Ms. Kang works on under your name from time to time. From now on, I won't accept anything that wasn't done on your own. So keep that in mind." Even if the name was changed on the project, there was a difference between documents written by Minwon and ones written by Jiwon. However, it was not always something to point out because busy colleagues would often help each other out, even if they weren't in a relationship. But he still wanted to say this. Ji-hyuk was not sure why he felt this way. So the next day, he ended up saying unkind things to Jiwon when he bumped into her on the elevator. Jiwon was still wearing the dangling earrings, the earrings which had looked pretty and shiny like the world's greatest treasure until yesterday, now felt hideous to him. "Miss Kang?" Jiwon was staring at the floor numbers as the elevator went up when she flinched and replied, "Yes, Mr. Yu?" "That." Ji-hyuk used his finger to touch his own ear. Confused, Jiwon looked in the mirror and answered with a slightly red face, "My earrings?" "Sumin, Miss Jung gave them to me." Jiwon seemed to be a bit happier just when saying Sumin's name. "They don't suit you at all." "That's not what I wanted to say. What doesn't suit you is Sumin and Minwon." From that day on, Jiwon never wore those earrings again. As she should. But that's the end of chapter 163. And some of the top comments, well, that does explain why his family scolds him for being tactless all the time. Yes. She was kind, caring, and considerate to a stray cat and didn't fuss over Ji-hyuk, so he felt comfortable with her. It's so heartwarming to see that Ji-hyuk loves Ji-won so much, but what I don't understand is why. They just had casual interactions, nothing more. So why is he so attached to her to the point that he does so much for her? Ah, okay. And this person, the first comment I read, that's them replying to them. She was kind, caring, and considerate to a stray cat, and she didn't fuss over Ji-hyuk. So he felt comfortable with her, and that's why he felt for her. That's why he liked her so much. Actually, I don't like to know Ji-won's past, because whenever I know them, my heart breaks into pieces. Yeah. It's sad. Wow, our author knows what it's like to have a C-section and the effects of the anesthesia. I was so cold, shivering hard, and so loopy from mine. Ooh. So he did think they looked good on her all along. He did think they looked good on her. He just didn't like that they were from Sumin and the reasoning why she got them. So that's the end of chapter 163. And we'll be back with chapter 164, his memories, parentheses, 2. And we're back with chapter 164, his memories. I ran away. That was how Ji-hyuk described his resignation. He was running away from the emotions that had become so thick they swallowed him up, and from Ji-won, the owner of those feelings, and from everything surrounding her. She'll be happy. I'm sure she already is. She has to be happy. Perhaps he'd known all along that Ji-won would not be happy after getting married to Min-won, but he also knew there was nothing he could do. Although it was a very small and faint idea, it was deeply embedded in Ji-hyuk's heart, like an old scar from an earring. He did not waste time in front of a mirror again. He wore the same suit he'd gotten his hands on and wore a matching boring tie with it. There was never a faint smile on his face. The biggest change in his expression was when he saw Pang. Then his eyes would soften from time to time. Ji-hyuk always woke up at the same time. After going to exercise in the early morning, he returned to eat a simple meal and then went to work after giving Pang his food. After work, he came back home, took a shower, cleaned the house, and reclined in bed. He would have been fine if he had lived like that all his life. However, the man had already learned of the heart-stopping excitement and the joy of a new life every morning was not fine at all. In order to fill the hole in his empty heart, all his remaining emotions had to be consciously dried up. The seasons continued even when time had stopped. On a day when the cherry trees had been bare, all winter burst into bloom overnight. Ji-hyuk would follow the scent of flowers and return to his school campus in springtime. This was a particularly beautiful day among those spring days. There was a phone call from Sinu on the day his car stopped on the road after leaving early in the morning for a meeting. "Where are you, boss?" "I'm on my way." "Oh, did you leave already?" "Of course. Why do you ask?" You see, the client called and asked if they could delay the meeting to tomorrow. Check my schedule and tell Chong-hol to rearrange the meeting." "Got it, boss." "Apologies." Sinu apologized multiple times, even though it wasn't his fault, and hung up the phone. He must have been worried that Ji-hyuk would be annoyed. But Ji-hyuk wasn't annoyed at all. It wasn't just today he felt nothing. Ever since leaving the company, he had never been happy, excited, angry, or upset. Ironically, Ji-hyuk's passiveness helped his business flourish greatly, but he did not even care about that either. "I should go to the office." Ji-hyuk opened the window to get a better view of his side mirror. A light pink petal flying on the street floated through the open window and landed gently on the dashboard. He was near UNK head office, of all places. Ji-hyuk drove his car to the familiar location as if he were possessed. He wasn't expecting to see her, but he also wasn't sure he wouldn't see her. If he were lucky, he would see her hair tied up in it from a distance, and if he were even luckier, he would come back without seeing anything and continue his daily life again. Near the company, Ji-hyuk ran into an unexpected person. "Young master!" It was Hyungwoo. "I wasn't sure from far away, but it is you. It's been a while." He really shouldn't have come here. Ji-hyuk bowed his head a little to Hyungwoo, who was happy to see him. "Hello, it's good to see you." "You greet me like some client you're meeting for the first time." Hyungwoo shook his head. "You don't have to worry. I won't tell the chairman I saw you." "I appreciate that. Then I'll be on my way." Ji-hyuk was about to turn around when he remembered something all of a sudden. Mr. O." "Yes." Hyungwoo, who had been about to turn around as well, looked back at him. "I'm sorry to ask out of the blue, but can I make a request?" Hyungwoo was a tight-lipped and capable person. He could also freely access company data as the chief secretary and close aide to Chairman Yu. "This is very sudden, but of course you can." "Thank you, it's nothing serious." Ji-hyuk hesitated, made up his mind, and continued, talking as dryly as possible. "There's a staff member named Ji-won Kang in Marketing Division 1, where I used to work. I'm not sure if she's still working there, but could you let me know how she's been doing?" "That won't be difficult. I'll contact you within a few days." Ji-hyuk hurriedly left after adding unnecessary excuses about how he needed her for work. All he'd asked was to find out how she was doing lately, but his heart that had stopped beating started again, and the world that had painted itself black and white found a little color. Oh, look at Ji-hyuk. You got a phone call, boss. Chung-ho grabbed Ji-hyuk's cell phone that was next to him and handed it over. His heart started beating again when he saw Hyungwoo's name on the screen. Ji-hyuk picked up the phone as nonchalantly as possible and came out of the office. "Ji-hyuk, you speaking. It's me, Hyungwoo. I gathered some information on what you asked yesterday, but..." Ji-hyuk hoped to hear good news. He hoped to hear that Ji-won was promoted, switched to a better company, or something else that meant she was doing well. "Before I tell you, could I ask the reason you asked about her?" Why did he have such a bad feeling about this? "My company had gotten very busy lately. We're looking to hire someone as soon as possible, and I remember how skilled she was, so I wanted to scout her with a good offer." "I see." Hyungwoo sounded relieved for some strange reason, "but I don't think scouting her will be possible." "Is she a senior member now?" "She quit." The reason was, the uneasiness Ji-hyuk felt before grew stronger and stronger. He swallowed dryly and waited for Hyungwoo to continue. "She began the chemotherapy." His heart, which had finally started beating again after a long time, fell to the floor. Chemotherapy. It was a word he had only heard in insurance advertisements when he turned on the car radio. As soon as the word, which had nothing to do with Ji-hyuk, coincided with Ji-won's existence, his world collapsed and became a fragmented tragedy. Mr. O? What did you say?" Since she quit instead of asking for a long-term sick leave, it looks like the disease has progressed quite a bit. "She's hospitalized and being treated right now." Hyungwoo's voice echoed like thunder inside his empty head. Ji-hyuk found the car key with his cold, sweaty hands. He had to be wrong. Hyungwoo's information just had to be wrong. He was sure that once he checked it out himself, it would turn out that Ji-won quit to go work at a better company. There would be no patient named Ji-won at the hospital. Even if she was there, it had to be an illness that was curable with a few treatments and good rest. Ji-hyuk drove his car to the hospital to confirm this. "Where is Miss Ji-won Kang's room?" he asked bluntly. The nurse looked taken aback when Ji-hyuk entered the cancer ward. "Excuse me, but what relationship do you have with the patient?" What was he to her? There was no special relationship between Ji-hyuk and Ji-won. We're co-workers. This was as close to a relationship as they had. I'm sorry, but we can't disclose a patient's personal information without permission. At least it seemed that Ji-won was hospitalized here. The nurse was kind but strict, so she did not tell him Ji-won's hospital room, no matter how many times he asked. Can't you just tell me which floor she's on? As I said, that's confidential information. There's a patient waiting room in line, so could you please move? Ji-hyuk stepped aside without gaining any information and took out his cell phone. He was about to ask Kyung-woo to find out the room number. At that moment, a patient passed by, caught his eye. She was a woman in a blue striped patient's uniform. Like every other patient, she wore a loose cardigan, and there was no hair under the beanie pressed down on her head. It was objectively pitiful to see her dragging a pole with several tubes attached to it, using her gaunt hands. But he wasn't looking at her because he felt bad. Ji-won? Ji-hyuk's heart sank as soon as he spotted her. Whether for good or bad reasons, Ji-won was the only one who had riled him up like this. The patient turned the corner and entered the room with a sign that said Administration Office. Ji-hyuk hurried to the door and pressed his ear close to listen in. Inside, the voice that probably belonged to an employee of the administrative office sounded annoyed. You're here by yourself again? What about your guardian? He doesn't visit the hospital often. Ji-hyuk held his breath. It really was Ji-won. He could tell it was her no matter how much time had passed. Even so, I don't think I should be having this conversation with the patient like this, the employee said. I'm sorry. I promise I'll call my guardian today, no matter what. I'll tell him to pay the fees. You said that last time, and the time before that as well. That's why I asked to be released from the hospital. How many times do I have to tell you that you can't leave before you pay all your fees? Do you know how much trouble you've caused for everyone? We even gave you a 20% discount so you could pay for part of it at least. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll pay it within this week. Ji-hyuk clenched his fist like he was about to crush the car key he was holding. He wanted to run in there and throw his card at the employee right now, but he held it in as he pressed his trembling hands together. He knew how embarrassed and miserable Ji-won would be if he did that. She was extremely reluctant to let others help her. You should go back upstairs, and please tell your guardian to pay for part of the fee. I will. I'm sorry. The door to the administrative office opened. Ji-hyuk hurriedly turned around, pretending to look at his phone. It hurt as Ji-won passed behind him without noticing anything. That patient just now, that's her, right? He could hear the staff members talking inside the office Ji-won had just left. Yeah, 3 months. He froze. His jaw trembled as if winter had come again in the middle of spring. I feel bad for her, but she has to pay her bills. If she doesn't pay her hospital fees, we can't even hold a funeral for her. I don't think her husband will even come for her body. I heard from one of the nurses that her husband doesn't come and she has no other visitors either. Ji-hyuk couldn't bear it any longer and opened the door to the administrative office. The staff who were talking jumped in surprise when the door opened violently. They immediately closed their mouths. How can I help you? One of the employees asked. I'm here to pay the hospital fee. Ji-hyuk immediately stood in front of the window and took out his wallet. I'd like to pay for all of Miss Ji-won Kang's hospital fees. The employee's face brightened right away. All of it? He asked. So you're paying in her stead? What is your relationship to Miss Ji-won Kang? It was the same question as before. Ji-hyuk looked at the employee with a stiff face and opened his wallet. I'm her family. If only we really were family. If I were your husband, I would never make you grovel at other people's feet. No, I wouldn't have let you fall ill in the first place, he thought. If only I were your family instead of that asshole. Would you like to pay in installments? I'll pay it in full, Ji-hyuk said. He took back his card from the suddenly kind employee and asked, I've been abroad, so it's my first time visiting. Which room is Miss Ji-won Kang in? Damn. I know that had to hit him like a ton of bricks. And that is the end of chapter 164. Some of the top comments, not gonna lie, I completely forgot Minwon existed. Same. I forgot all about that piece of shit. What is this comment? I don't think it's fine to blame Ji-hyuk for Ji-won's misery. Just think about it if you were in love with a person who is in a relationship with someone else, and you know if you'll tell that person about truth, they won't listen. No, I'm not going to read that. Oh, they're trying to blame Ji-hyuk for letting Ji-won marry Minwon. I don't know if you have ever tried to tell a friend or about somebody they're dating being a piece of shit. You know that saying, don't kill the messenger always gets killed. You always get blamed. And that's why I don't ever say anything. You always get blamed like it is your fucking fault. And that's why I don't ever say anything anymore. I just slowly distance myself. Because they don't ever listen. Let's see. Some of the other comments. At least she's healthier than ever now, and Minwon is dead. Damn. They're right. I'm sad that Ji-won had to experience all those things and Ji-hyuk seeing those bad experiences happening to Ji-won, but I'm also glad that Ji-hyuk saw all those. Now he can confidently love Ji-won and treasure every moment that they will have. Yes, I agree, Mims. Minwon really sucked so bad that some random stranger was already being a better husband than he was. Okay. That chapter. Oof. And we're back with chapter 165, His Memories. Ji-hyuk lingered around the hallway for a long time after receiving Ji-won's hospital number. He couldn't simply show up out of the blue. He still saw the young student who gave him all her lunch money, saying that was the price for looking after the cat for a while. She was a woman who didn't want to inconvenience others and had a strong sense of pride. 3 months, the amount of time the employees from the administrative office said she probably had on left of her life. He could not accept it. He had to cure her, no matter what. He had to take her to a much better hospital from here, to the best doctor in Korea. If that didn't work, he had to try all the treatments he could anywhere in the world. This time, I won't back away. Ji-hyuk took a deep breath and finally got on the elevator. Ji-won might think of him as a strange person, but it didn't matter. He could endure everyone in the world pointing fingers at him if it meant he could save Ji-won. However, she was not in the hospital room when he finally made the decision to go inside. You here to see the young lady over there? That's a relief. She seems so lonely with no visitors. The patient next to the empty bed peeped out and spoke to Ji-hyuk, who was standing absent-mindedly in the doorway. She seemed genuinely happy that someone had come to see Ji-won. She regarded him again. I think she went for a walk just now. She won't be long since it's chilly outside. Let's see now. There should be some juice in the fridge. It wasn't just a stroll. The pole that Ji-won had been pushing around earlier was in the corner next to the bed. Half of the remaining IV fluid flowed down the tube and dripped onto the floor. Immediately, Ji-hyuk turned around and ran outside. The kind lady waved the juice behind him, calling to him urgently, "Huh? Where are you going? Mister! She'll be right back! Mister!" Ji-won was nowhere to be found. She wasn't in the hallway, the lobby, or outside. Ji-hyuk rushed to call Hyung-woo. "Yes, young master? Please tell me Miss Ji-won Kang's address." "Her address, but it's an emergency. Please send it right away." Thankfully, a text arrived soon after. Ji-hyuk gripped his steering wheel. He entered the address that Hyung-woo had just sent as the destination. It was probably the house where Ji-won lived with Min-won. The traffic jam was horrible. There was no sign of it getting better, even when he poked his head outside to look around. The tower in Jamsil, nicknamed Sauron's Eye, glistened like a mirage in the fine gray dust. Damn it! Ji-hyuk restlessly pulled over to the next alley. He raced through the alleys that were connected like a spider's web. The car's GPS started yelling at him. "You have gone off the route. Recalculating," it said. "You have gone off the route. You have gone off the route." The endless chant of the GPS was meaningless. Something invisible seemed to be pulling him along. I think we all know who that is. After racing along like that through the alleys, Ji-hyuk finally arrived near Ji-won's house. It should be around here. A taxi stood with emergency lights in an alley. It was so narrow that 2 cars could not pass by. At the same time, Ji-hyuk couldn't wait any longer and slammed down on his horn. Next, the taxi door in front opened and the passenger got out. The passenger wore a blue striped patient gown, a tight beanie, an old cardigan, and glasses. It was Ji-won. Thank goodness, Ji-won was here, safe and sound. The taxi departed in front of Ji-hyuk's relieved eyes. The hand waving out of the open driver's window was either a farewell to Ji-won or an apology for the car behind him that had sounded its horn. Ji-won stood there, watching as the taxi drove away. She fiddled with something in her hand before putting it in her pocket. It looked like there was a small smile on her face. "Thank you," she seemed to silently mutter those words. Soon Ji-won turned around and disappeared into the old apartment. Even though she was just going home, Ji-hyuk felt strangely anxious and uneasy. He got out of the car, counted the floors one by one, and looked at the very end of the top floor, which was most likely where Ji-won's house was. At that moment, a loud shattering sound echoed from the building. A woman's cry also echoed, carried by the wind throughout the apartment. A chill ran down Ji-hyuk's back. Immediately, he ran into the same entrance that Ji-won had gone inside earlier. The only elevator was stopped on the top floor. He began to run up the emergency stairs. While running up the stairs 2 steps at a time, his shirt became drenched with sweat. Sticking to his back, he threw his jacket off in the middle of the stairwell and resumed running. He ran so fast that his lungs were gasping for air as he reached the top floor. This was where Ji-won lived. Ji-hyuk passed through the long hallway and walked to the house at the end, breathing hard. The rusty iron door didn't even have a lock. Ji-hyuk was about to ring the doorbell when he found the door slightly ajar. He pulled the handle. The door opened with a creak. The apartment was eerily quiet and cold. Near the entrance were a pair of brown men's shoes and red women's shoes. There were no slippers or sneakers. Ji-won probably would have worn one of those. Instead, there were muddy footprints trailing from the front door to the bedroom door. A man's voice was heard from the slightly open door. "Hello? 911? There's someone passed out here." Ji-hyuk had no memory of how he went into the apartment. He wasn't sure if he stepped inside silently or if he ran inside screaming. Either way, Ji-won was in the room. She wore the same thin patient's uniform and a cardigan as earlier. Blood slowly spread under the beanie which hid her shaved head. Her glasses, which had always been taken care of, were lying on the floor, broken. "Who the hell are you?" Minwon's voice buzzed like a machine in Ji-hyuk's ears. "Jiwon?" Ji-hyuk's teeth chattered and his eyes went dark. He knelt in the blood, holding out his trembling hands to embrace Jiwon's body. He couldn't feel her breathing. He couldn't feel her heart beating. "Jiwon? Wake up. Jiwon? Please, wake up. I'll take you with me. So let's go. Please, wake up. Let's go to the hospital. Please. Jiwon, I'll do anything. So please, let's go to the hospital." He didn't know what he was talking about or what he was doing as he tried to stand up with Jiwon in his arms. But he couldn't get up. No matter how much strength he put into his legs, they would not work. It was as if a lead ball hung from each of them. He could not even figure out where he or the door was. The woman he loved, his first love, who was beautiful and precious, that he could not dare approach her, was turning cold in his arms. I can't even imagine how he felt. Okay. Regret, regret, regret. That was the only thing he could do. He shouldn't have prayed for her happiness. He should have made her happy. He should have told her Minwon didn't suit her, not the earrings. He should have gathered the courage to speak to her, to try to hold her, even if he was treated like a stalker. He shouldn't have left the company. He should have looked into how she was doing even after leaving. He shouldn't have let that bastard Minwon approach her in the first place. He shouldn't have trusted Minwon to make her happy. He shouldn't have hired Sumin. No, he shouldn't have let Minwon join Marketing Division 1 in the first place. He would light his body on fire if it meant he could turn back time to fix his mistakes and save her. He would laugh happily as his body burned to death. Whew. Jiwon's funeral ended in an abyss of regret. Ji-hyuk no longer had the strength to overcome his regret and pain. The world was black and white again. Life had become a useless waste that couldn't be continued. People died anyway. They died while crossing the street and getting hit by a car. They died from taking the wrong medicine, from old age, from disease, or from hitting their head on something. He figured if that were the case, he wouldn't mind dying right now. He organized all his belongings. All the identifiable items were thrown into the trash. The only thing in Ji-hyuk's possession was the 10,000 won bill that Jiwon had handed over the first day that they'd met as he passed through the black and white world and headed to Taejongdae. "This is a heart," meaning this is as precious as my own heart, you unromantic, miserable old man. That was Hugh Yeon's retort after he'd criticized her drawing hearts one by one on a picture of an idol group when she was in high school. You need to draw hearts on things you hold dear. It's like a show of love. So Ji-hyuk drew a heart in the corner of the crumpled bill using a blue pen. Then he felt sorry for the bill. It was an ugly heart, like an elementary school kid had clumsily drawn it. After paying for the taxi fare with a bill he had cherished for nearly 20 years, Ji-hyuk sank into the cold spring sea. His lungs filled with ice-cold seawater rather than air. The pain of being unable to breathe lasted for a moment. As the surface of the water moved quickly away, Ji-hyuk repeated it for the last time in his mind. If there's a next time, I want to see you happy. Ji-hyuk opened his eyes slowly. Why does it feel like I'm alive? Why do I hear people talking around me? Was I pointlessly rescued by someone? The first thing he saw was an old monitor and a gray partition wall. When he turned his head to the left, there was a flower pot. When he turned it to the right, there was a jacket hanging on a rack. An office worker with a rolled up sleeves stood up nearby, flapping documents in his hand. Who picked up the call from the accounting department yesterday? You need to leave a note. Ji-hyuk stared blankly down at his hands. He saw his warm hands and an employee ID hanging on his chest. UNK Food, Department Head Ji-hyuk Yu. He blinked. Is this a dream? Or is this in my head? Maybe this is the afterlife. The calendar on the table read April 2009. The mini calendars written in his own handwriting indicated the same thing. Ji-hyuk sat completely frozen for a moment. Then he put his hand in his pocket. A black slide phone that was popular that year came out of it. April 10th, 2009. The date displayed on the phone was 10 years ago. It was the same time he had trouble breathing, and his heart would race just by getting a glimpse of the top of Ji-won's head over the partition. No way. The words he spoke to himself came back into his ears. This had to be a dream. No. He wouldn't mind if it was a dream. If he could dream like this, he would be happy if he died. Ji-hyuk stretched his neck and looked where Ji-won sat like he used to. He couldn't see the pretty little head that always lingered there. If this really was a dream made by his desperate wish, there was no way Ji-won wouldn't be there. Mr. Yu? Someone spoke to Ji-hyuk, who was dazed as he tried to get a hold of what was happening. This document has to be delivered to Banwon Corp, but I'm too busy to deliver it myself. Banwon Corp was actually a small subcontractor that had been in business with UNK for a long time. This was way too detailed to be just a dream. Additionally, the fuzzy memory of experiencing this once again came to his mind like some kind of deja vu. Understood, he answered before he could think about it. It was as if his past self was on autopilot. I'll send someone to deliver it instead. Thank you, Mr. Yu. Mr. Cha handed the documents over and quickly went back to his seat. The texture of the clear folder in his fingertips and the papers inside were the same as they were the first time. This wasn't a dream. It was real. As soon as Ji-hyuk's realization struck him like a thunderbolt, Miss Yang's voice came from afar. Miss Kang doesn't look too good. Shortly after, Minwon answered, Miss Kang? She said she felt dizzy earlier, so I told her to take a break. That's the end of chapter 165. Well, that was nice. We got to see Ji-hyuk's point of view. We got to see Ji-won deliver the babies and everybody's safe. Ji-won had, I guess, regular side effects that you have when you have a C-section and you get anesthesia. Both the babies are good and healthy. Ji-hyuk got triggered when Ji-won was cold, and we got a little peek into his previous life. Him finding Ji-won, him seeing her last moments and how terrible everything was for her. And his last moments, because he took his life. Which is sad, because Hyo-yeon, she almost took her life because of Yura. Ji-hyuk did take his life because of his regret. And then Minwon and Sumin took Ji-won's life from her. We are getting down to the last 20 chapters or so. It's almost done, y'all. I'm going to probably have to redo the playlist because I did not know, which I think is weird, and I might be able to change it. I didn't know that when you added videos to a playlist that it puts them in, is it descending or ascending order, where the older one goes from the bottom to the top, where it should be from top to bottom, where the newest one should be at the bottom, you know? I think it's something easy you can do, but I just realized it when I was looking at the playlist for the chapters that mines are not ordered from oldest at the top to newest at the bottom, so I'm gonna fix it. But anyways, if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. How did you enjoy this chapter? Overall, I'm happy Jiwon was able to deliver the babies and everybody was healthy and fine. I liked getting Ji-hyuk's perspective. That was my favorite part. But I will see you in the next video. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is that you're listening. And I will see ya. Bye.